Well, as Rich said, this is the Sunday when we do the instant sermon. And in this hermetically sealed envelope, there are questions that all of you had the opportunity to hand in last week. But since you're asking us questions, I'm going to give you homework. Your homework, should you decide to accept it, is to watch Bill Moyer's program from, about 10 days ago. It's a fabulous program, and it features Cornel West, Serene Jones, who's a UCC minister and the new president of Union Seminary, and Gary Dorian, who's a historian of theology, and talking about the current economic crisis. And we actually mounted it on the front page of the Plymouth website, so PlymouthUCC.com, and watch Bill Moyers, who also is a member of the United Church. All right. So here we have the questions. You guys ready?
I had two people describe this for me this week in great ways. First was a morning at the Improv. I like that. Much better than, thanks Steve, stump the chump.
Yeah, there we go. Yes. Which reminds me of car talk, and we should have had you write these on the back of a $100 bill and send them in instead of... You still have that opportunity. We will be taking an offering later. This is, I think Robert Burns should answer this question. What is the place and value of silent prayer in spiritual growth at Plymouth? I like that question.
If you like it so well.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. One of the things that we've been saying in the United Church of Christ for, 6 or 7 years is that God is still speaking. And if God is still speaking, it's incumbent upon us to be listening. And I think so often, with deference to John Calvin, in our Reformed traditions, we do so much cognitive work and we talk so much in worship that we don't ever give God a chance to answer back. And to my mind, one of the best ways to let God answer is just to be still and know that God is there. And I think for me, that slowing down, that sense of the profound silence that is God, is really critical for us to be in touch with, especially in this day and age when we're surrounded by Facebook and Twitter and email. Well, sometimes we're surrounded by email. Sometimes. Ours gave up the ghost last week, but it's back. So silence is underrated. We've got a lot of these, so I'm going to go on to the next one.
We're being silent.
Well, it's great. Bob Burns, who is a great fan of silence, this morning said, is that okay if I go the full 60 seconds of silence before we start the call to worship? And I said, you go, Bob. Will you discuss our two sacraments and why we have only two? What is a sacrament?
I can answer the sacrament question in general and then let you two answer the specific. I heard the concept of sacraments described once as the hat on the invisible God that you see moving through the world. And the sacraments are the visible ways that we see and encounter God in our midst. When the breath of God, that's my simple explanation of sacrament.
The visible ways that we experience that invisible God, the invisible grace. Yeah. And the two sacraments being baptism and communion, which we always celebrate as a community. Some traditions have baptisms that are very private, but we don't do that. Our baptism is always experienced with the gathered church, because the whole purpose of it is to experience God in one another, and that we are all a part of this growth into who we can become in God. So there's a part of that, experiencing God in community and in the faith community in particular. So what was the...
The other one is, why are there only two in our tradition? I can take that part.
Yeah.
So the two, of course, that we observe, and this is true in all Reformed churches, we observe only 2 sacraments rather than the 7 that Episcopalians and Roman Catholics observe. And that's because those are the 2 that Jesus performed. Jesus did not perform the rite of ordination, the rite of marriage, the rite of burial, etc., but did perform baptism and Holy Communion. So that's why we have those 2. Wow, this is a long one. In the baptismal service, you state that Jesus is an example of human wholeness and human responsibility. Is Jesus' humanity a new doorway into the meaning of divinity? And is Christianity a pathway that all can walk into a deeper and fuller humanity? Is all of this a new form of secular humanism or the shape of Christianity for the 21st century?
Sweet. Who wrote that?
There's a name there. Not a surprise.
One of my favorite quotes, if you've taken the Living the Question series that Plymouth sometimes offers, and if anybody's interested in taking that, we'll do it again as a small group. It's a phenomenal program. But one of the people who is on that video is Jack Spong. And he is a retired Episcopalian bishop from Newark, New Jersey. And one of the things that he says that I resonate with, that not everybody does, is the difference between us and Jesus is a difference of degree, not a difference of kind. That God created us wholly in the image of Christ as well. And so Jesus is showing us the path of divinity, the path of humanity, which I don't think Jesus can be separated out of Jesus. That there's both the divinity and the humanity, but that God also created all of us to walk that path. Now, I don't believe we're going to get there. I think that's the whole challenge in this life.
Speak for yourself, Benton.
I know. I'm the one always telling Hal, I'm perfect. Almost.
She is.
But that's what we strive for. That's why we walk this path of Christianity, is striving for that image of Christ, to be, what's Thomas à Kempis' title? Thomas à Kempis?
Aquinas?
I don't know. I'll send it to you later. But yeah, that we're walking that path to follow Jesus in his human divinity, humanity, all of that mixed together. So that's what I resonate with.
So do you think it's a new form of secular humanism, or do you think it's the shape of Christianity for the 21st century?
I think it's the shape of Christianity for people who are still striving. And so maybe not the 21st century, because I don't think all of us will get there. I don't think all of us can understand Christianity from this particular viewpoint, that we have to have different understandings from where we come at life, and that's okay. But stopping where we are is not okay. That's my understanding, is that we have to keep moving and changing and asking and growing. Long question, long answer.